Lawrence Oyo. On Radio Wahome, 88.3 FM, the Catholic radio station for all. Thank you, my dear listener, for staying tuned to Radio Wahome and for choosing Radio Wahome this morning. Welcome to the final hour. My name is Bramwel Opiyo. As you know, the final hour, our Tuesdays, we shift our gears and talk money matters. All right. So today, as I told you earlier, my dear listener, we turn our attention to the very important group. Parents of young adolescents aged 12, 13, and 14. Remember, this is a season in a child's life when curiosity is growing, independence begins to form, and financial habits, good or bad, start taking root. So at this age, your teens are making small spending decisions, becoming influenced by peers, technology, and social trends. So if parents don't step in early with the right money wisdom, the world will teach them its own version, often shaped by pressure, impulse, and instant gratification. So today, my dear listener, Mr. Wahome helps us to explore the best money lessons for young adolescents, how to introduce them to budgeting, savings, responsible spending, digital money safety, for example, and the value of work. So parents, this is your moment to shape financial confident, responsible, and empowered teenagers. This conversation is coming your way courtesy Mr. Wahome, and is in studio with me this morning. A very good morning to you, Mr. Wahome.
Morning, Bramwel.
How have you been?
Been great.
Yes.
Thank God.
Good.
For this opportunity and for this hour. It's a great morning to be together.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the intro that you've just given us. These children are ours. It's an assignment we've been given by God. We teach them the very best they can.
Sure.
So we continue the series. We're looking at money lessons for our young adolescents. These ones are somewhere in JSS, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9. That's where they are. And I'm sure it's holiday season, so parents have seen their energy.
Exactly.
Parents have seen their demands.
Yes.
So we say, what are the best money lessons? In the mix of all those things, what should they learn? That's the discussion that we have. It's a continuation from where we were last time, so we will just continue from there.
All right. Thank you. And for those who are tuning in for the very first time, they're wondering, who is this talking in studio? Who is Mr. Wahome? Kindly introduce yourself, Mr. Wahome, and tell us exactly if you have a lesson today again, just as a reminder.
Thank you for that. Just before I introduce myself, somebody asked a question this last weekend, and I said to them, tune in the radio. I'll answer your question on radio.
Okay.
So, and they were asking, why is the stock market doing so well? I said, now you tune in. As I explained to you, maybe I'll get a chance to explain to somebody else.
Okay.
And the Kenyan, and then Nairobi Securities Exchange, they've told us something interesting. They talk, I think, in parables or a language we don't understand. They say the bulls are back in the savannah. Now, what are these bulls back in the savannah? But the Kenyan market is very, very alive. And the bulls are taking the charge. That means shares are going up, the results are good. You know, if you look at what they used to measure the Nairobi 20 shares index, it's gone 51% up this year. The all share index has gone 50%, and this is the strongest since 2003.
Okay.
So obviously, people then have to ask, what's happening? You know, this raw is coming from three things. Now, banks are recording very good returns. And so if you're shareholding in that space, you would bound to make something good. The insurance industry has registered double-digit growth. And that's always a big measure of the performance in the economy. And the energy sector is actually sparking. The economy is growing, so the energy sector is sparking. And you know, these numbers don't just happen. If you look into the background, you can always see where is the story coming from. The IMF, they've told us our economy is likely to grow at 5.5% this year. Now, inflation has basically been around below 6%, which is very good for the economy. I know this is very debatable because watu wanasema hakuna pesa kwa mfuko, but the numbers are saying the economy is good. The shilling has been very, very steady for quite some time now. There hasn't been a lot of uncertainty, and that has helped a lot of investors because now they're able to do some work with certainty. And the local investors have stepped in. You know, sometimes the foreigners take their money and they run away. The local investors have done a lot of good work, and it is the Kenyans themselves who are driving this market. But even though we say that, we sometimes look at the trend, and we have seen that the results are getting a bit tighter. So we don't think they might be very, very big like that. Foreigners are very cautious. Again, we are heading to elections, and this week, the politics, the by-elections, and that tells you, I think, it's an indicator of what's likely to happen. And so we are likely to see a bit of volatility coming back, but the fundamentals are strong. When you talk about financial fundamentals, they are strong. The banks are resilient. We see them working well. There's a lot of energy capacity. I think we need more power because more things are happening. And that's creating a sense of confidence in the market. So if anybody is looking into the market, I think, this is what we opine. It's a good time. Be patient. Position yourself well. Look for those solid names in the banking sector or insurance or energy. And there you are likely to get a good dividend, or you are likely to get yourself good value for your shares. And because the market is bouncing back, if you are a player, talk to your experts, and they will tell you which are the ones you're going to look at. So I say to my friend, I think I wanted to mention that in the presence of everybody, so that now somebody else can be able to understand. But I know it's a technical area. We'll discuss it one of the other days. Right. Today, let's get to back to where we are. And thank you. My name is Wahome. I'm from the Personal Finance Academy. And we always empower people so that they can avoid making financial mistakes. This holiday season, we make a lot of mistakes. Exactly. And we want to see how we can avoid that. And so we do this because we help people to understand. In fact, this week, we are looking at debt management. And if there's one thing that has troubled a lot of people in this country, it is debt. So we're looking at debt management. We are in season 48 of the Wealth Creation Masterclass. And if anybody wants to really understand debt, how can I use debt to get things better for myself? How can I avoid debt that is destructive? I think that's what the invitation is tonight. If you join us, we will be able to get a chance to look at that. And so anybody looking for a chance, this is a good opportunity. It is virtual, so you will take it from the comfort of your house. All you need to do is to express your interest, and you can do that by a call, a WhatsApp, or a text to 0708 150 137. We'll be able to discuss debt. And if you're able to deal with debt, then you can be able to deal with many, many other things. So having said that, let's get to the topic of the day, because we want to look at what are these essential lessons for children aged 12, 13, and 14. And in our last discussion, we talked about 9, 10, 11. Yeah. And I'm sure, and I've had a couple of parents who come back and say that was very, very helpful. And now we want to go to the slightly older ones, the young early adolescents who are in grade 7, 8, and 9, or GSS, junior secondary school ground. And like you said earlier, it's always important to understand. Before we say what lessons should they learn, we need to understand them. I think understanding them is very important. And you highlighted a couple of things, because we want to see what is what's unique about that age set. Because these ones, they occupy a very fascinating and unique development stage. And that's why we call them early adolescents. They are adolescents, but they're in the early stage. And they are neither children, nor are they older teens. They are navigating that transformative space. And sometimes we want to treat them as children. Sometimes we want them to behave as adults. Yeah. They confuse themselves, and we continue confusing them. When they want to do something, you tell them, "Mpana, wewe wacha wewe ni mtoto." And then after some time, you're asking them, why are you behaving like a mtoto? Now, where are they? So we confuse them as they confuse themselves. So if somebody try to look at what is this development they are going through, they have what we call the dual existence, dual. And it makes them very, very unique, because they are living in two worlds at the same time. They are living in the world of the child. They have a very strong desire for play and comfort from parents. You see, they like games. They want to play all the time. And this is where sometimes you tell them, wacha utoto. But they're still children. They're looking for comfort from parents. They would want to stay closer to the parents. And sometimes they are very naive. You would expect at the age they should know this. Or sometimes they look like they are silly. But when things don't work, they like coming back to the parents. They want to get somewhere closer to their parents. So they will find comfort in things like dolls, things like cartoons. That's the thing that get them as a children. But at the same time, there are moments when they behave the teenagers. So they're actively pushing for independence. They're saying, we're warning, I can do this on my own. You're trying to tell them, no, let me help you. And they're saying, no, no, no. They're obviously developing a more complex inner world. Even themselves, there's a lot of growth in them. And now their peers are very, very important. That's where everything works from. Their social standing is very, very important. How they look. And this duality, it creates a lot of constant confusion. It's a push or pull in behavior, it's a push or pull in emotions. So that's a very, very important thing to understand, that they have the dual part. And so when you're dealing with them, don't judge them when they behave children. They're actually getting out of that. Some are rugged, so they come through slowly. Some are fast movers, so they've come out of it. Of course, the other one is that they have a lot of development, even at a personal level. Things are happening, a lot of things are happening, and they're developing very, very quickly. Sometimes it's not very coordinated. We're looking at issues around puberty, the physical changes that happen to them, the growth, the voice changes, the development of secondary sexual characteristics. And this leads them to be very self-conscious about their bodies. Sometimes they can see the changes and they are not very, very sure. They don't know whether to ask their parents or to ask their friends. Again, this is where it happens. In terms of cognitive or the brain, they're actually growing very well. They start having issues around judgment. They have foresight. They have impulse control. So they think in an abstract way. They can be very hypothetical, and that's why they like debate. They ask, why not this? Why not this? They understand ethics. Now they can tell right or wrong. It's easier for them to tell right or wrong. And we said last time their language is better. They even understand sarcasm and metaphors. We said if Mama said mchome mtoto, this was understand. We have been told not to do it. We are not going to go and do it. And but they sometimes their judgment lags behind. So you can actually see them being very what we call egocentric. They're very, very selfish. They are looking after themselves. So and sometimes they don't judge consequences very well. So they will actually do something and they did not judge the consequences very well. And when it goes wrong, they actually behave children. Yeah, if they were trying out something, it didn't work well, they would try to be children. Now, on the socio-emotional side, they have a roller coaster. They're looking at their identity versus their role. And they're actually asking, who am I? And if there's a season when identity crisis becomes a bigger thing, this is the age. This is when the child wants to know, who is my father? And mothers, I know you have a big struggle here, especially if the father is not present, because they really want to know, because this is important for them. And in a soft way, if you can find a way of giving them an answer, we need to give them an answer, because that question is in their mind. And they want to identify who they are. And that's why they try different personas. They try fashion. They try to fit in groups of friends. They try to do different hobbies, because they're trying to find out where they are. And the peer group is very, very paramount. They want to be accepted. If you have a young person and they've come back from school, very annoyed because their friends rejected them, and you keep saying, what's the big deal? No, for them it's a big deal. That's where they are. The opinions of their friends are very, very important because of this identity. And the opinions of their parents are not very good. This is when they think everybody is dumb. Everybody doesn't understand. Their friends seems to know it much better. And drawing that balance as a parent becomes very, very important. Because if you don't do that, you will have a lot of social drama. You want to go out. They want to dress in a given way. And you can actually see that's not appropriate. But they do not want to change. And if you insist, they will say, okay, I will not go. Now you have that problem in there. And that's what we call the emotional volatility, that they are happy, and within a short time, they are angry. So there's a swing, and this is because of the brain development, because of the emotions, so it keeps swinging a lot, and so it becomes difficult for them. So if you're looking at them in terms of behavior, this is when they start running something called the secret self. They can actually be on their own. You will see the young lady on the mirror for a long time. They're actually checking out everything. That small pimple growing here and there. So it becomes very, very different. They have things now they are not sharing with their parents. they're sharing with their friends. And this is where it is important to know who are their friends. If they tell you they are going for a sleepover, please be sure where the sleepover is. And this is where now parents have to work together. If my children want to come and sleep over at your place, we had better know each other. So that then I know you're going to take good care of them. And when they come back, I can take care. But don't just let them to go where you are not, because now they will pick out the stuff from wherever they are. And they're picking a lot now from journals, from social media, from friends. They are picking out all those things. And now they have a moral development. It is not black and white. They can actually understand the intricate issues. So you can't be telling them this is right, then you change it is wrong. Now they will point out to you. They understand hypocrisy, and that becomes a very, very important thing. Now we say they have intense interest. You can find them being very, very passionate about something. They want to do a video game. They want to do a series. They want to play a band. They want to create. They want to be there because they want to shine in something for their friends to identify them with something. In terms of communication, they are less communicative to the parents. So you will find them excited and cheerful with all their friends. But when you come in, they want to be quiet with you. It is a yes-no situation. And now becoming their friends and understanding their friends becomes very, very important. And this is why we're saying the lessons you teach them, you're not teaching them alone. There are many people out there teaching them. So if you look at them, we can say the uniqueness is the stage of where they are. They're in between a child and they're an adult. It's sort of a hybrid person. And this leads to a lot of contradictory behavior. We talked about their cognitive ability, their ability to understand small things. They can actually be able to do complicated things because the brain is growing, but they can also sometimes do things that are not complicated. In terms of social pressure, their compass, behavior, values is on others, or the parents. So, and this is where it was important earlier on to form the foundation. Because if you don't form the foundation, they will just go away. In terms of emotions, yes, they keep swinging. They are happy, they are not happy, and you do not know what it is all about. Again, this is a stage of growth. So sometimes, they're sort of in a trying phase. They want to try this and they want to try this. But bottom, they're asking, who am I? So this is a fantastic age to teach them lessons because they are becoming more independent, they are becoming more abstract, and they are highly influenced by their peers. So we need to move from basics, and we need to build buying habits now. So this is important. We are moving from basics. We are building habits, and we want to help them understand systems. So if you are thinking, what are the best Monday lessons that they are going to learn? Now we can actually see some of the things. Now here clearly they need to understand the power of choice. What is the power of choice? So we first want to understand earning. Now we must understand where money comes from and the power of choice. So we want to connect work to income beyond the allowance. Previously they were dealing with just their own allowance. Now we want to open this space so that they can understand more about finances. Because allowance was a great way to start them. But at this age, they should learn more significant money so that they can be able to take more initiative. So here what we are doing, and this is a good time because it is holiday, now we must encourage them to find something that can earn them money. Think through as a family, think you through where you are as a parent and say, what can I be able to do to incentivize them? Can I get them to wash the family car if you have a family car? Are they capable of trimming the hedge or the fence? Is that a possibility? Can they actually do babysitting with the proper training? Can they do something like that? Can they mow the lawn? Can they help in other family work? Do you have a place, maybe you have a small outlet, can they work there and actually pay them? They will actually see work translates into money. That becomes very, very important. And why does it work? Because it teaches them to see the opportunity. They can actually now negotiate their pay, and they understand the direct link between effort and earnings. That becomes very, very fundamental at this stage. If this does not happen, this comes back in adulthood when they just want to sit home and eat and drink and don't care where the money comes from. And you're wondering, this person is an adult. How come they can't ask themselves, when they are eating, where did that money come from? It was part that was missed in the development. So that becomes very, very important for us. So there they can understand earning from a bigger perspective. Again, we are also considering their children, so we must be conscious of the law. So you're not going to go and send them to pick the coffee if you're in the rural place. You know, you're not going to, but there are basic things within their ability. They are learning life skills and they can be able to do it. And yeah, you can pay them something for that if they do that. Now, the second thing we said is we were doing the 3-jar system. Now we want to introduce them to banking. Remember, we had that jar where there was money for spending, for saving, and for giving. Now we want to evolve that to a much bigger level now. So we are likely to use the same thing, but now we formalize it into a simple budget. Now here we want them to understand budget. And so we can use a notebook or a simple spreadsheet. And when they get money, now we have said where they're going to get money from the gifts that they're going to get. This is gift season for a lot of them, from sometimes their relatives, their friends, whoever, from the job that we have said you're giving them, from the allowance that they are going to do. Now you can help them to allocate in that 3 categories. Now we are writing. So we have spending, and we say maybe 40% is for spending, immediate things that they want to do now. They want to buy what? Some data bundle. They want to eat some chocolate. They have some bus fare to pay as they go. They want to go and pay some swimming fee. That we are going to enter there so that they can clearly see where the money has gone, about 40% of what they have. For their short-term savings, we can do with about 30%. These are the slightly bigger purchases, the things they want. They want to go to the park, and there's a ticket that needs to be paid, maybe a small concert. There's something that they're going to pay. They want to buy a new video game. Now, you actually make sure they're writing down those amounts. And then we have long-term savings, maybe some 20%. You promise them a new bike or a laptop or a computer game. So we are saving that, and we are indicating every month how much of that money is going. And don't forget the 10% for giving. It is important. We want to indicate what we give, and I think this is a good season for giving.
Sure.
You know, we celebrate. I say we celebrate in Christmas because we are almost there. And when you get them to understand the spirit of Christmas, the gift God has given us in Christ, then it is also important for us to give to others who are not that advantaged in society. So we want to make sure that 10% goes to giving, and we want to involve them so that they can be able to get the perspective. And why does it work? Because it is going to introduce to them fundamental skills of budgeting, very, very fundamental skills. It's going to make them, force them to make conscious choices with their finite resources. This is all I have to do. These are all the things that need to be done. So prioritization becomes an important thing that they're going to learn. So you can see we are deepening in what we had started earlier. Now, the other concept here we need to do, we were doing savings, but we also want to introduce them to a complex thing called time value of money. Okay, and a lot of people struggle with time value of money because we want to have a goal-oriented saving. We're not just saving. You know, saving for the sake of saving is very boring. Very boring. In fact, even for adults, I say, don't save unless you have a purpose. You must be very clear what you say. Don't just say, let me put this 10,000 for the future. Name the future. What's that future? If it's a rainy day, then you know your future is a rainy day. If your future is that you want to buy a property, you want to buy something, so that it gets very, very motivating because now you can almost start seeing it coming to reality. So we help them identify what we can call big items. Big ticket items that they want. They might want what? Some sports shoes, some video game console, okay? And so we work with them to create a visual saving tracker. This is how much we want. So we start by being clear. We calculate how much do we want. We calculate how long it will take us to get there. So that now if you're putting in little money, then we know. Now when you come back from holiday this season, if you continue this trend, we'll actually be able to buy what you're looking for. Okay? And why does it work? Because it provides a tangible reason for delaying gratification. This is what we are trying to do. A lot of people suffer from not being able to delay their gratification. So you see stuff in the street, you had them planned for them, you buy it. Everywhere you go, you buy. So we want to teach perseverance and we want to teach planning in a very, very small way. So that's how they get the time value of money, that it takes this long to be able to achieve what you're looking for. Now, the other one is we can now introduce them to the compound interest concept. We had introduced them to saving. Now we are moving to the next level, because this is a financial concept they will learn, and they can make use of it for many years. Okay, so we don't want to make it complicated. We keep it simple. We're saying if you save 1,000 shillings and it earns an interest of 10%, at the end of the year you have 1,100. Now, so because after that 1 year, if you just invest that same money again, you're going to get 1,100, because your 1,000 will give you another 1,000. Your 100 will give you another 10. And you can actually be able to do that so that they can actually see now we do not only have the original 1,000, we have more money is growing. So they understand compound interest. And so you can use an online calculator. There are many calculators. And you can actually just show them that 1,000. If you did it for 5 years, if you did it for 10 years at this rate, what is it going to be? And for a lot of people, this becomes helpful later in life, how we handle our cooperative savings and why we will stop messing up the dividend checks we get. We learn how to reinvest so that we can compound it. People understand how pension schemes work. You put in your money, you don't take it out tomorrow. Because the challenge we have a lot of times, we put money, then tomorrow we pick it up, we take it back, the day after we pick it up. And if you keep picking it up like that, then you don't give it a chance to grow. If you want to grow money long term, it is interest that helps the money to grow long term. So it's going to work because they can actually see the seed and they can actually see how it builds over time. And that concept becomes important even when they become adults. You'll be surprised when they go to college, they can actually start a saving program so that when they leave college, they can almost tell, this is how much I'm going to have when I leave college. So that becomes a very, very important concept. The other concept we want to teach them is how to become a smart consumer. There's something that is called the opportunity cost in every purchase that we make. And this is a critical life skill because if you spend money on one thing, you can't spend it on the other one. Yeah. And so you have to be able to say, so what gives me the best value? So they want to buy something. I picked just all things that children, like I said, they want to buy a video game. Maybe it's costing 3,000. But at the same time, they want to buy a new jacket. So the discussion we are having here is, if you want to buy a 3,000 shilling video game, then the opportunity cost is you cannot buy that new jacket for 3,000. You have to pick one of the two. You can't be able to pick both. So this is how now you become smart, because then you can actually say, is there a way of getting a video game that might not cost me this so that I can actually end up buying both? Is it a possibility? Now it works because we are moving from impulsive buying, we become mindful in spending, so that we think through as we're making the decision. We are weighing choices. I think this is an important one. We're weighing choices. By weighing choices, we actually deal with impulse buying. The biggest disease sometimes we have is impulse buying. We just buy because we see we have not weighed the choice. Then along the way we realize, we made a very, very serious mistake. Now the other thing, and this is important for parents, this age and brands, for some reason they want the things that are expensive. And I always joke around yogurt. They will not take the standard one. They want the one that looks like more complicated, whether it's a name, whether it is a composition. But they are very, very brand conscious. And we want to teach them to understand how to become a service shopper, that brands is not everything. And this is something we can do at the supermarket. This is something we can do at home. And sometimes, we do interesting things. You can do something called a blind test. And a blind test, we're picking different brands of something. It could be cereals, it could be drinks. And you're actually blindfolding people and it's saying, okay, all these are cereals. Can you tell us the difference? One is expensive, one is not expensive. You'll be surprised when they are blindfolded, they can't tell the difference. Yeah. So the idea then, the difference is in seeing, not in the taste. Okay? And so often when you do that taste, people actually appreciate that there's almost no difference. It could be the packaging, it could be the advertising, it could be the naming, but is it worth buying something for 3,000 if you can actually buy it for 2,000? Okay, and this is what is going to teach them the question of marketers, and I'm one of them, always influence buying decisions by making things look they look superior, even when in reality they are not superior.
Exactly.
Yeah, the communication is crafted that they look superior, so that people stop buying brands and buying logos. They buy the item that they are looking for. Now, we also want them to understand, now you want to crystallize between needs and wants. Again, remember we said they are egocentric. So they don't care about anybody else in the family. So they want everything that is theirs. So we want them to know there's a basic difference between needs and wants, so they can be able to apply it. Now, somebody wants a warm jacket, okay? And another one wants a designer jacket. So which one should we be buying? Just a warm jacket or a designer jacket? Okay. Somebody wants a phone and they want to buy that model that's costing 120,000. Really? Is that over the top? Because now they need to understand a warm jacket is a need. A 5,000 shilling designer warm jacket is a want. If we have the means, we can do that. If we don't have the means, we buy the basic one. A phone is for communication, and that's a need. Yeah. But buying a phone at 120,000, I think that's a want. So we deal with needs before we deal with wants. And yeah, it's not an easy thing here. Now we have to negotiate. Remember we said about the growth in the brain? Because they'll keep asking. And I've had that argument many times. You're telling them you should not be spending all the time playing games. And they say, these games, you say they are for children. They say, but they were created by adults. So if they were created by adults, what is the issue here? So we want them to come to the real world and understand the needs and the wants. That becomes a very, very important thing. Now, obviously, the challenge of the season is that a lot of things are digital, even in the financial system. So money feels a bit abstract because, we're doing things online. We're paying via M-Pesa. We're paying online banking. We are paying with the credit card. So how do we help them now to actually see that even that is money? So when you're buying stuff online, whether it's a game, normally what you do, if you're buying for them, they want a game or they want something, and they are the ones who have the money. Ask them to give you that money in cash. They give it to you in cash, but you buy it online. You can convert it into cash for yourself. They can very easily tell, that 1,000 shillings is what they put in the M-Pesa they have used to buy it. And it is good to work because it becomes a mental barrier to impulse buying, because now we can actually see where the money is. And because they are growing as we finalize, now we talked about introducing them to the financial system. Yes, now they cannot only open a bank account, but they can actually be able to do more. So we want to take them to the bank or the fund manager or the insurance company or the SACCO, so they can actually open their own account. Yes, they don't have an ID. It is you who is going to open in your name as a parent, but it can be for their interest. And so, and make it an event. This is a big thing, Yeah, tell them tomorrow we are going to the bank, then we are opening an account for you, so that they can actually, and if you get there, let them talk to the banker or the official, the person opening this, and then you show them how they can be able to check their bank, their balance online, and explain how the bank or the fund manager is going to pay interest to them. And this demystifies financial institutions. They don't just see banks or insurance companies like things for grown-ups. They will actually appreciate this is also for us. Yeah. And that becomes, you sort of deal with the barrier. A lot of us suffered from that because the first time maybe you opened a bank account is when you went to the university and HELB gave you a loan and they needed a bank for where it is going to go. For some of us, maybe that's not when you open. It's when you go to your first job and the employer says, now you need to open a bank account. Now this is something we need to do much earlier so that we can demystify those financial institutions. And as we conclude, now they need to understand the danger of debt. This whole thing, eat now, pay later. Now they need to understand, because that's a big trap. Whether it is on the app, whether it is wherever, it is a very, very common thing. And we need to explain the digital debt or the credit card. It's not free money. There's an interest. Use simple examples. If you buy an item for 1,000 shillings and you don't pay it, you're going to end up paying 1,200. The 200 is actually the interest that has been added. It's not as an easy topic, but it is something that you can actually be able to get them to do. So fundamentally, as we conclude, you're saying, be the role model. That's how they're going to learn. Talk about your own financial institutions, financial decisions at an appropriate level, okay? Choose, when you're choosing to buy a TV, help them to understand even how you chose the brand and the pricing, okay? And let them make mistakes if they're going to make mistakes. Yes, if they're not budgeting, let them eat all the money on Monday. The balance of the week, they're going to eat noodles and stuff like that. And you can be empathetic, but don't be critical, okay? And look for teachable moments. Every time when you are at the supermarket or the restaurant, you're paying bills online, you're doing a family purchase, make it a process for them, but keep it positive. Don't make money look ugly. Don't make them see money is a source of conflicts. And if you do that, I think this age set is going to turn out well. Right. They'll be able to navigate their teenage years. They will have a solid foundation. And if you don't invest the time, unfortunately, it will come back and it will hurt somewhere. So, and if you don't, somebody is going to teach them. The only problem is they teach them the wrong things. We've seen what the digital ones are teaching them. So we need to be there. And we say, because you can't give them what you don't have. That's why all the time we say, welcome to the masterclass. If you learn about debt, you can teach them better about debt. So we want to see you tonight. Come so that we'll see how do we build our capacity for dealing with debts. And like I said, you just need to show your interest on 0708 150 137. And I think those few lessons, I know we've gone through them a bit fast, but I'm sure your young adolescents will actually be better if they learn some of those lessons, especially now that they're on holiday and you have a chance to be able to work with them.
Well explained, Mr. Wahome. Asante sana. A quick one. I'll pick two questions here. Okay. Hi, Bram and Mr. Wahome. What conversations should parents be having with their teens about peer pressure and money?
That's what we're saying. Needs and wants come from peer pressure. Everybody's got an expensive phone, but we are trying to help them to see why this is. So we're helping them to understand all things in life. Remember, they are listening to them more than they are listening to you. So your biggest challenge is to ground them in your own environment. Okay. And you know, you want to show them there's a foundation, there's a way that things are done, and you also want to befriend them so that they don't go away. Okay. If you get into that space, then you can actually be able to discuss. It's very easy to break their needs and wants, and it is also important for them to know they are different. They can't have to do what everybody is doing. Okay. And the fact that everybody is doing it doesn't make it right. Okay. Yeah. And
talking about, I link this to the other question. Mr. Wahome, are there warning signs that parents should watch out for to know their teen is developing unhealthy money behavior?
Yes, and there are many. If they have an item you didn't buy, you must find out where did that money come from. Okay. If they've been to a show, you are not the one who sponsored that show. You must be able to watch out that. When you go shopping and you can literally see all the time they are looking for expensive stuff, then it tells you there's something they're not correlating very well. So there are a couple of those things that you can actually be able to tell and work around. But at any rate, if they're spending money you did not finance, you should be worried.
You should be worried.
You should be worried. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Wahome, for your time and the lessons this morning. I do believe parents, you now understand better. Remember, today, Mr. Wahome has a beautiful lesson ahead for you. It's going to be on Zoom, all right? And he will be taking you through debt management, all right? So send your name or the interest to this number, 0708 150 137, 08 150 137. That is the number for any inquiries. Mr. Wahome will be able to assist you. But most importantly, you need to get a copy of The Wallet Words, my favorite books that changed my approach towards money. If you want to do that, my dear listener, you can also get a copy, 0708 150 137. And the beauty is the book has been authored by Mr. Wahome himself. All right, that has been my time, my dear listener. Thank you. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. Kwaheri. This is Radio Wahome, 88.3 FM. This is Radio Wahome.